All right, welcome back to this best of five series between Goober Nugget and MichaelPick. In our last video, we did see Goober Nugget absolutely dominate with the Slavs over MichaelPick's Sicilians. So that brings the series to 1-1. So going into a big game three, whoever wins this will obviously have the advantage and only need to win one of the next two games after this. So yeah, really a big one. And it'll be Teutons versus Georgians. So
Got the pleasure of joining for this episode. This is a specifically interesting matchup. Georgians and Teutons are both typically strong, scaling late game heavy cav civs. Um, so it's really going to come down to if there's going to be punches thrown early, if they both rush Castle Age, maybe Imperial Age, try to get to those late game units. We know that the Teutons have extra armor, +1 in Castle Age and +2 in Imperial Age. They have extra armor on their infantry and cavalry, so some of the strongest paladins in the game. And then on the other hand, you have the Georgians, who have the Manaspa, which is the former, I guess you'd say, former best unit in the game, as
yep.
they scale in strength with numbers.
Yeah,
I know that
absolutely.
got nerfed recently, but still extremely strong.
Yeah, they are. And I really think the Georgians would have the advantage in the early game with the healing scouts.
Right,
But as
right.
it moves towards the late game, you start to see the Teutons really start to take over. So this will be a really interesting game. I'm excited to get into it.
Yep.
So we'll go ahead and uh, load this one now and get started. So just by way of introduction to this game, so again, we do have explored maps for for this game, which means that the map is already explored, but you do still have fog of war for each player, where they can't see the enemy unless they get close enough to their own unit. So um, allows both players to immediately go to sheep and start to collect food as soon as possible. You can also see where your enemy's gold and stone deposits are um, right at the beginning. So some things to take note of there. And then also on the Georgian side for MichaelPick, he does start off with a mule cart. That does count as one of his Dark Age buildings and actually follows the villagers around as they collect resources. So again, pointing to that early game advantage for Georgians.
Yeah, one of the interesting things about this matchup is the economy differences. Georgians have the mule cart, which is typically an extremely strong economy unit, as it replaces farms, lumber. What's the word I'm looking? Lumber
Lumber
mills,
camp, yeah.
lumber camps. Thank you. And mining camps. You can deposit everything to it, and it moves. So
Right.
its point is extremely high worker efficiency. Your villagers don't have to walk very far to deposit whatever they're doing, and you're really not uh, you're really not wasting resources with making a second or a third lumber camp trying to maximize efficiency. You don't have to do that at all. You just move the wagon, right?
Right.
So the Georgians, right? Georgians.
Yep.
I'm losing my mind. Georgians have a distinct advantage in that sense with that unit. And on the other hand, the Teutons. This is a longtime favorite of Goob's. Uh, they have a very strong economy, not the strongest in the game, but one massive team or civ bonus they get is hugely discounted farms at
Right.
40% discount. So that's a 60% of the cost of everyone else's farms.
Right.
So Goob across, let's say, three farms can make that would be three farms would be 180 wood for MichaelPick. For Goob, three farms is 120. So he can make four farms in the space of 3 for the cost of 3 for
Right.
MichaelPick, and that adds up as you get into the late game, especially with farm upgrades, mill upgrades rather. So it's important here that Goob uses that essentially. If
Right.
Goob does not make use of that, or if he's crippled early, or if he can't farm well, he loses the only way he can really catch up in economy here to the Georgians player. And that's crucial because we talked about the upsides of these civs. The Georgians are a very strong civ all the way around. The
Right.
Teutons are very strong at what they do. They've got extremely good defensive buildings. They've got great castles since they start with murder holes. But they don't really tech into archers very well. They need cav, they need scouts, and they need heavy cavalry units to really make use of their team bonuses. So you see MichaelPick trying to raid here with his scout. Gonna get picked off by the town
Yeah,
center.
we'll lose that. Yeah, so let's talk about the map setup here. So we've seen, this is now the third, what we call Chicken Arabia. It'll actually be hares here in this generation, but there is deer actually being pushed in, neutral deer pushed in by Goob. That's going to be a huge advantage for him getting that extra amount of food, as we've seen really both players struggle to get to the chickens or the hares in the last 2 games.
Goob's struggling a little bit trying to get this deer, trying to multitask here and get the deer pushed in. Yeah, one thing that's really interesting, this was a recent change that they made to Arabia. So there are now neutral deer. If you look in the middle of the map even, there's going to be a good cluster of deer
Yep.
typically, and then more on the sides for both civs, or for both players. So specifically for these 1v1 scenarios, they really made that, it was an interesting change, and I think it benefits players who tend to push deer typically, because if you're not used to going and getting chickens or hares in this case, that could be, you might come out with a bit of a loss if you get a chicken Arabia and one player is picking up the chickens and one player is not.
Right.
That's, you're typically, you're getting your sheep and you're getting your boar, and then you're maybe pushing deer, but if you're not pushing deer, you're doing berries. So like
Right.
3 different food incomes, right? And then if one of them is berries for one player and that third one is chicken for the other player with the chicken is getting food faster than the berries. So it does lend itself towards some interesting strategies here, although maybe some more time wasted here as Goob is paying a little more attention to these militia walking down south than the deer pushing. Finally gets that one down.
Yeah, so it looks like both players will take advantage of the hares here. But yeah, the militia coming down for Goob now. And immediately upgraded 2 men-at-arms. So now MichaelPick has a problem at his doorstep. Doesn't look like MichaelPick is going for fast castle like he has really in the last 2 games. But yeah, has no military to speak of yet to defend against these men-at-arms.
Yeah, MichaelPick looking for Castle Age here. He's at 600 food. He is putting a stable down. Curious to see if he's going to spend some of that on a couple scouts to help out early. One thing I did note is that MichaelPick did opt to mill. Though I'm sorry, so did Goob. I thought at first
Yep.
that Goob did not mill the chickens, but it looks like they both did that. So it's looking pretty even so far. MichaelPick well, sorry, not already on the way up to Castle Age. Those resources are gone, but they are not spent on Castle Age. Instead, they're spent on scouts. So that is 6 scouts queued up in that stable.
Yep, looks like we will see a lot of feudal aggression on both sides. Let's see if MichaelPick can get these scouts out before the stable is taken down. The man-at-arms really do a great job against buildings.
Arson coming in as well, so Goob thinking about that.
Yeah, that's going to be a big deal. Really the only military production unit besides his original barracks for MichaelPick. Yeah, meanwhile, back at home, Goober Nugget getting set up really nicely, just now getting through the last bit of his berries, but already on gold, continuing with man-at-arms production, and looking good for him at this point as he starts
200
the early
health left
aggression.
on the stables, and 3 scout. Looks like he's going to cancel a couple of the scouts in the queue. He does not want to lose those resources. It's a good move from MichaelPick. He's going to move the scouts out and counter this pressure. He loses some of the scouts, makes it out with 2, but the stable stays alive. That was a really, really smart move. I think otherwise he would have lost a building and food sitting in there in the queue with those scouts.
Right. Yeah, so he will continue to move forward with those scouts. Looks like Goob will be able to defend this, though.
Heavy infantry here from the Teutons. Not something we typically see from Goob, but it's an interesting, what am I trying to say? Emphasis here early from the purple player, and Bloodline's going to hit for Michael Green, so we're definitely going to see cavalry being tagged into here as the blacksmith finally goes down for Goob.
Yeah, so interesting decision for MichaelPick to continue with that that emphasis on the early scouts. Looks like he was in a situation where he could have moved up and tried to go to Castle Age early, and really not getting much in return from these scouts, although he does get a Vilk kill there. And meanwhile, Goob will return the favor. He's got some men-at-arms down south, but looks like their gather point was set in the middle of that, in the middle of the trees. But
Goob knows though that this stable is low, so if he can get to it, that's gonna be a bit of a setback for MichaelPick. And sure enough, he's gonna go in with these men-at-arms. That's all he's gonna need to bring that down. On the other hand, scout pressure still in from MichaelPick. He may not be getting villager kills, but he's annoying. He's being pestering here. He's slowing things down and keeping that villager downtime as high as possible for his opponent. This is really effective, just distraction, honestly. Moving units around, picking off a villager when he can.
Yeah, and still no loom for
Gonna get another kill.
Goob. Those scouts are able to do some damage, but Goob does a good job of cleaning up there and still has the man-at-arms doing damage. Takes out the mill.
Goob learns his lesson. Loom is coming in here, so he's going to be able to fend off these scouts that don't have blacksmith upgrades a little bit better. Not going to be as much of a threat anymore.
Yeah, and he'll take care of that last scout for MichaelPick and move his men-at-arms forward. MichaelPick.
More men-at-arms in the queue as well for Goob.
MichaelPick doing a decent job of walling, so Goob's only option really will be to stay under town center fire. Looks like MichaelPick blocked off the men-at-arms with his villagers just to allow the town center to shoot at him. Nice play from
the mule
him.
cart coming in handy there as well.
Yeah.
Losing those men-at-arms, Goob is now set back in food. He's going to be starting to kind of overflow in his gold a little bit. 200 is really all you need at this point because you want to hit Castle Age. Because at this point, he knows MichaelPick stopped pressuring, right? So he stopped making scouts. He's been in his base, and so he knows he's not making any more units. And that's a telltale sign that Castle Age is going to be coming in here pretty quick for the green player. MichaelPick going to try to wall off here. So at this point, it's a rush to that late game we talked about. So we might see a little bit of a stall out here unless Goob decides to keep this infantry production up. He's trying to punch back a little bit. You know, he took some losses, but this Eco KD is 3-2, so it's not that bad for him. He's managed to get the lead in villager count.
Yeah, so MichaelPick did click up to castle basically right as the man-at-arms got through, so a little bit unfortunate timing for him. really all he'll be able to do at this point is kind of sit back and try to survive until Castle Age comes in.
Yeah, looks like that market's most definitely going to go down. MichaelPick going for double archery ranges just to try to deal with this. He doesn't have a stable still, so those scouts are not going to be able to come into play, and he's not opting to, go for militia and have to tech into men-at-arms. Obviously, that would be a pretty poor play. So smart move here, just putting archery ranges down. Maybe take some losses, but playing the long game here is a good move here.
Yeah, these men-at-arms, who have already done a lot of damage, will take out that market, which is actually a bigger deal than just gaining access to that wood line. MichaelPick now not able to use a market to move goods around, and so he'll get into Castle Age here shortly, actually just now, and we'll try to move forward with these archers.
That's a big deal. Taking out the market as MichaelPick goes into Castle Age is impactful. I think that's a big deal. He's not going to be able to trade. Not a huge deal if it was later in the game. You can just throw another market down. But one big thing to note there is the market was also the wood line, and so taking out the market exposed the wood line, or pushing the market exposed the wood line, which pushed MichaelPick off of wood. So he can't just put another market down. And that's an expensive building. At this point in the game, he'd rather make more archers, right? He'd rather make something else. So that's going to slow down that trade you get from the market a lot, which is going to be a big help for Goob, especially since he's going to be 2 minutes behind in Castle Age. Looks like Expo coming in here for MichaelPick. So he's going to have crossbow teched into before Goob even hits Castle Age.
Yeah, let's see if MichaelPick can take advantage of that. Goob, meanwhile, did a great job of walling up. Walls, as you know, are a lot more effective against archers. It takes a lot longer for an archer to bring down a wall, but the archers with the range can shoot over the walls and could cause some damage for Goob as they start to move forward here.
This is good to note as well. So you get Pierce and melee armor, I believe. I'm looking at the stats here on this unit, and you get... no, sorry, it is just melee. So the Teuton armor upgrade, their Civ bonus that they get with extra armor, that's only melee armor. So they do not get innate Pierce armor through going up the ages. So if Goob's paying attention, he's going to want to pick up some extra armor. But he does hit Castle Age. He's going for a second town center, and he's got double knight stable production up here. Well, at least 2 stables up here. You're going to try to pump some knights out as crossbowmen are pressuring the forward gold.
I don't think I had noticed that before. Kind of misleading wording, I guess, on the civilization bonus. It says barracks and stable units +1/+2, and typically when you see that slash, it's, when you click on a unit, that's melee and then / pierce armor. But in this case, it's just showing that castle and then Imperial Age. You get +1 in castle and then +2 in Imperial Age. But yeah, you're absolutely right. So this, these archers could actually be a viable option against the Teutons. As you said, they don't get that extra pierce armor. But you'd much rather have knights in this situation than crossbows, especially if MichaelPick is not able to micro much in these tight quarters.
Goob is going to go ahead and get chain barding armor, so that's the second cavalry upgrade. He's thinking about this. Looks like he's going to make sure he's got that pierce armor, because even though they're knights, crossbowmen, when grouped up, can deal with a lot of different unit types in this game. It's just such a strong strategy to have grouped up crossbowmen, especially en masse. But that's the one thing that's lacking here for MichaelPick. So Goob is going to get a little bit of a leg back up. He's going to get a foothold here. He is on 2 TC villager production, And he's got them coming out now, so that's a 5 villager lead. But MichaelPick has been really efficient with his town center. Both players under 8 minutes idle TC for the entire game. I think that's pretty good for what we typically see from these guys.
Right.
So this is going to be interesting to see if Goob can keep up this economy, keep up that villager production. We might see a big eco lead later in the game, which is really, really important.
Yeah, another advantage of crossbows here in this situation for MichaelPick is he's able to just move him around the base and take shots while the knights try to get in. So that'll be a big help as he is really starting to fall behind and score, especially. MichaelPick does have some crossbows near the base of Goob, sent a Vill forward and hasn't done anything with that yet. And will continue to move crossbows up.
Wheelbarrow coming in for both players. MichaelPick going to tech into some archer blacksmith upgrades. And in response, the elite skirmisher hitting in about 5 seconds for Goob. So he's gonna realize that this is what's happening, and a little bit of a just passing moment there on the right side of the map.
Yeah.
Crossbowman walking past the knights, and looks like neither of them paid attention to that. Siege workshop here from MichaelPick on the left side of the map, up on the hill. I'm checking vision right now, and Goob just does not see this whatsoever. Has no idea.
Yeah, so the siege workshop will go up, and MichaelPick starting to hit the wood line up in the top of Goob's base, but he's got knights outside already. This is not going to be enough to hold off the knights from Goob.
Having knights outside already was really, really huge there for Goob. If not, that would have been annoying pressure. There's also a hole there in between that house and the tree. Yep. But as you can see, not the greatest wood lines here for Goob. And since MichaelPick's playing into archers, that's another advantage. Like you said, they can play defensively. They can shoot over walls in defense at units that are trying to get in. But they can also shoot over walls offensively. And they don't need to break through walls often to pressure important resource spots such as a wood line or gold, for example. Gold, which is so often used as part of your wall, also means it's at the front of your base and exposed to archer fire. So crossbowman is going to be really, really useful here, especially with the siege coming in. But this is a lot of knights for Goob, and they just keep coming.
Yeah, it is, and looks like MichaelPick has switched fully to pikemen.
Yeah.
In response to that, still haven't seen anything out of the siege workshop forward. Seems like MichaelPick is starting to miss that window. Maybe waiting for Goob's army to come down south before he tries anything there, but with nothing in production, I don't know if that's his plan at this point. Does see the knights coming in.
Yeah, this is honestly smart. Goob's just going to go ahead and take that fight. He has the numbers here, even though they're pikemen. That hurts a little bit, but with that many knights, you can take that. You can't play this ninny game, though. Running around, taking hits without dealing any, that's dangerous. You're losing HP, if not units. So he's down to 11. A lot of them hurt. That's another thing I thought about earlier is this. Teuton monks are extremely strong, especially in offensive, because they have, is it twice the healing speed or is it twice the range? I think it's the range. Anyway, their monks are strong when it comes to healing. It is range, so they can heal from farther away, which means they're even viable for cavalry. You can heal cavalry, have some pikes or some crossbowmen protecting your monks. So I'm curious to see if he implements this. If we go into late game here, I wouldn't be surprised. This is a civ with a not particularly complicated tech tree, and Goob has played them enough to surely be aware of that. Speaking of late game, Goob is at 1,500 food. He's floating a lot of resources right now and throwing a university down. He does have the monastery, so he's going to go for the double building imperial upgrade, looks like, as opposed to getting a castle up, as he's just now hitting the amount of stone required for one.
Yeah, so at
Imperial Age
Michael
does
Pick's
get
base,
clicked.
we have knights coming in through a hole. Unfortunate there for Michael Pick, but Goob does see the castle, and I don't know that I like the at-home castle in this situation. I think you need to look at the score if you're Michael Pick and say, okay, without some big move like a forward castle, this most likely is not going to go my way. And the knights will be in and cause problems
Yeah,
for
that
Michael
is
Pick.
dangerous, and that is hard too, because you want to defend, right? And to be honest, it's a great castle. There's only one point the Knights can get through, but we are at 40 minutes in the game. It's not a
Right.
big surprise that there's a large number of Knights here. Why don't they just break one of the buildings to go through a different way, right? The second market goes down here for Michael Pick, so just struggling to keep up at this point with the role. I think the thing we touched on earlier was the Teutons are very strong late game, and we talked about what was really important here was which player is going to be able to start to get the snowball rolling because
Right.
they're not insane early game, they're not crazy mid game, but late game they're both extremely powerful. So whichever one gets there first, right? Michael Pick definitely has the strategic placement advantage. I mean, here Goob is just playing complete defense in his base and sending out some Knights to be pesky. He broke the market down, sure, but look, this eco KD, this is maybe a 5 villager difference in kills. So in terms of the value these Knights have brought, it hasn't been incredible.
Right.
On the other hand, Goob has managed to play defense to the point where he's been on 2 TCs undisturbed. He's got the villager lead. He's got a 20 villager lead at this point. So Michael Pitt going for a second siege workshop. I think this is a great move. You need some siege. You need pikes. You need the complete counters to what your opponent has, and you need it in his base to be extremely annoying to slow him down and to try to get that lead back.
Yeah, absolutely. And the first push for Michael Pick with he had a couple mangonels out and was not able to protect them against the Knights, even though he's got pikemen all over the place at this point. So that's already been a struggle for Michael Pick as Goob upgrades from Knight to Cavalier. So now you have, especially with the Teutons, an extremely strong unit, and Goob is able to clean up some of these mangonels before they really can do much damage at all.
It is really interesting. Goob's just deciding to take a lot of these fights, to be honest with you. He sees the Cavalier upgrade come in. He's going for plate barding armor. He is all in on Cav here. As Paladin also is clicked up to. And what's interesting is I'd like to know what the actual difference is here, but we noted how the armor upgrade for Teutons is melee. Well, that's pikemen. So
Right.
they're, I think, maybe a little bit more able to just tank that bonus damage a little bit better and just take those fights to dive the siege that Michael Pick has. I think he sees it. He sees that if he can't break the siege down, he doesn't have another answer. He's got skirms and he's got heavy cav, and that's all he has. And speaking of running out of things, which wasn't really, but Goob is not on gold right now. He is not
Right.
on gold. He's putting a castle to the right side, which has gold, but he doesn't have production, which means he doesn't have unit production coming up right now, which is really important for him as these units are expensive.
Yeah, and a big moment on the right side as Goob will actually convert 2 of the Manaspa from green, and at the same time, green does not see all the villagers moving down to the east, southeast, and Goob will start. Goob has several villagers actually down here, um, and will find gold. Also move to wood. So yeah, if you're Michael Pick, you're getting into the base. You're starting to, slowly break in, but Goob able to get outside without being noticed and start to rebuild under
Yeah,
a castle.
that's a really good note. That is 29 villagers. That is half, entirely half down the middle of Goob's villager count. And so he's buying a little insurance here, right? He's got farms at home. That's all he has at home. He has wood and gold over here on the right, protected by the castle. So El Green is thinking, I've got to break in here, but not seeing this castle is crucial. Escaping with these villagers, rather, really was a big moment there for Goob. Paladin is
Yeah, it
in, so
was.
this is a big unit here.
Yeah, even with the pikeman for MichaelPick, he's it's just a couple shots from a paladin is able to take out a mangonel. So MichaelPick applying pressure, continuing to bring out these mangonels and pikemen. But
He does
meanwhile,
have the resources. I mean, the villager count is after that push. I mean, this is the thing. Like Michael Pick's push is not in vain here. It's absolutely not fruitless. The villager count is completely even at this point. So he's managed to get his lead back. He's managed to do what he's trying to do. To be honest, he's started that ball rolling
right.
as he puts his second town center down as well.
Wow, MichaelPick has a pikeman in Central East that is just out of range of the castle and the production there from Goob, so he doesn't see that still. And again, a good push, as he'll try to keep his mangonel alive from the paladin, but you know he's in the main base of Goob here. But the score isn't matching what he's seeing here in the main base, so yeah, a lot of production now from Goob on the outside, under that castle where he is producing Teutonic Knights and has a trebuchet out already.
Goob playing all in here. There is a lot of danger to this, I think. He's now lost his villager lead. It's hard to it's hard to really see huge holes in this with the fact that these paladins are just so insane. It's 180 health with 7 melee armor. This is just such a beefy unit, but he's also got Teutonic Knights coming out. He's got more paladin production. He's got trebuchets coming out. This is an expensive move, is what I'm trying to say. And if he loses gold, if MichaelPick extends this game, he cannot keep this up for forever. And MichaelPick's not spending gold at the rate that Goob is. So it's important here that Goob really start to make something happen, or else I think he's gonna start to lose. He's gonna lose the backbone of what this push is, what the strategy relies on, which is gold, which is a lot of resources at once.
Yeah, and Goob was able really to clear out almost all of what MichaelPick had. MichaelPick with a sneaky fortified church in the back, but especially without murder holes, I don't think that'll do much there. And again, this at this point is not even Goob's main base. The vast majority of his villagers are now down in the east. So
yeah, he's putting a couple more town centers under that castle, just all in to that area, just ignoring the rest of his base, letting the villagers farm, picking off the mangonel when he can. These are strong units on the field, and it's still just mangonel from MichaelPick. And on another note, still in Castle Age.
right. Yeah, at this point, I don't know how long Goob has been in Imperial Age, but it's been a while. And MichaelPick will finally see what's in this new area for Goob, and will try to drop a castle nearby. It could work, but with 3 villagers on top of that, Goob being able to see this the whole time, I don't think it's
just
gonna
too
work.
close to that one farmer right on the right side, I think.
Yeah,
Oh,
Goob
maybe
will
that's
start to
the town
trip this
center
down
vision.
before before this is even gonna go up. So don't mind the idea from MichaelPick, but not well executed at all. I don't even know
Looks
if
like
he
I was looking at
deleted
that
in
too.
time.
I'm not sure if he did either. He's gonna go for a fortified church up top. Mangonels and Pikes still pushing Goob's main base, but again, this is This is a little bit more symptom treatment. You know, it's not... the real problem here is gold. If Goob doesn't have gold, he can't do what he's doing. And MichaelPick, without pressure on Goob's gold, we're going to start to see the pain come in here as the Paladins, Teutonic Knights, and 3 Trebuchets move in. These are lethal units in Imperial Age versus Castle Age units. That is such a big difference.
Yeah, this is an insane army with Trebs to back it. I don't know that MichaelPick can survive this. And at this point, a Palisade Wall is more of a speed bump for these units. Yeah, this is going to get ugly pretty quick.
Town Center going to go down here. These Teutonic Knights are great, but they're more of an expensive insurance policy. The Paladin's really all Goob needs here, I think. Maybe he put some Teutonic Knights out there in case there was an abundance of pikemen to be able to deal with those, but Town Center 1 is going to go down for MichaelPick. Manaspa going to come out of the castle.
Yeah, at this point, even Castle Fire is really not super deadly to these extremely powerful units. MichaelPick has got to be frustrated at this point. He's basically cleared the main base of Goob.
Right.
But that's really not his main base now, and at home is getting cleared up even faster from Goob's push, so yeah, it looks like the castle's about to go down, and really not much left for the player in green.
Yep, second Town Center goes down, castle goes down. Purple wave is just sweeping through. This is a slow purple wave, but it is just so hard to stop this army once it gets to this point. The Teutons are so strong in late game. Like we were talking about, this could have gone either way. I mean, if we saw the same thing happen from the other way, we might have seen 30 Manaspa on the field, and there's just really nothing you can do. If you're not caught up and playing in the same tech tree, playing on the same level of the tech tree, rather, if you're both in Imperial Age, is what I'm saying. Like, if Goob was in Castle here and MichaelPick was in Imperial, to be honest, if MichaelPick was in Castle, if they're both in Castle, and MichaelPick was able to fend that off, get the eco lead, and get Manaspa production, for example, I don't know what the answer is from Goob. Pikeman? But yeah. MichaelPick already has archers teched into. Like we said at the beginning, it really came down to getting the ball rolling and who can get it rolling and keep it rolling. Like you said, that's got to be infuriating. I mean, you've got 6 mangonel here from MichaelPick in Goob's main base. That's his second town center is going down here. There's nothing left. And yet, he's got to be looking at this score difference. Yeah. What is it, right? What am I missing?
Right. And Goob will start to circle back with his main army, and will easily be able to clear out what MichaelPick has in Goob's original base. Yeah, I think a glance at the score would probably let MichaelPick know that this really is over. Yeah, especially if Goob starts to move these trebs and this powerful army out and take care of what's left. I think it'll pretty much be over for MichaelPick, or actually he'll realize that it is over as he starts to lose more of these mangonels. Yeah, so now no production at all for MichaelPick. Has 0 villagers. So unless he thinks that he could clear with the army that he has, we should see the GG pretty soon.
He's going to see this squad of Teutonic Knights walk up, and I think you're totally right. I think just a glance at the score at this point of the game, knowing you don't have production, and you keep seeing Paladin come out, you keep seeing Teutonic Knights come out. Yeah, this game is pretty much over at this point.
He actually has 1 military left. It's that pikeman there, and he will lose that. So now doesn't have a unit on the field. I wonder if he thought that the game would automatically end without any units, but
Right.
he will go ahead and call the GG. What a game from Goob. Totally dominant. Really similar, actually, to the last game with his Slavs. But, yeah, just total dominance. Able to get to the late game, survive the push from MichaelPick, and continue to grow and push back much harder.
There's a difference in total resources collected. They're practically identical with a slight lead from MichaelPick until Castle Age, actually, until the 25-minute mark. And I'm looking at this pink line start to grow a little bit farther apart and a little bit farther apart. And then Goob hits Imperial Age and it just keeps growing farther apart. Um, like we talked about, I mean, I keep repeating myself, but that economy difference, I think. That's a great game. I'm going to be honest with you. That is a really good game because it wasn't like one player put pressure on early and one didn't, and so only one player was crippled. There was punching back and forth in Feudal Age and in Castle Age, but it just came down to getting that villager production up. I think from Goob, getting that villager lead so that he can get the necessary resources to tech into those late game units to get the leg up on MichaelPick. Yeah, great game.
Yeah, I think you're right, and it's interesting to see that the villager high, actually by 15 villagers, was MichaelPick's,
Right.
but the army, the military, largest army, 52 for Goob, only 37 for MichaelPick. Yeah, you got to be frustrated if you're MichaelPick. In a typical game, that's a winning strategy. You had a better economy with more villagers,
Yep.
and was able to push the base of Goob fairly successfully, and was eventually able to clear it out, but still just get steamrolled. So really excited. This is a great game. This will move Goob to 2-1 as we go into a game 4. So if Goob takes game 4, he'll win the series. But if MichaelPick is able to win the next one, we'll be able to push to a game 5. So really looking forward to that.
Yep.